Transcribed from divine bandwidths and the static of human folly, which is quite the origin story.
It is, and the subtitle, too.
Oh yeah, it's a mouthful, isn't it? Containing parables, lamentations, dialogue, and passive-aggressive prophecy for the confused and overly connected.
Captures a certain mood, I think.
Yeah, it really does. And the intro note suggests reading it, with trembling fingers, cracked screens.
And that feeling of missing something important while checking notifications. We've all been there.
Totally. So what we thought we'd do today is a bit unusual for us.
Yeah, jump right into the text itself.
Exactly. We're going to read through the first 7 chapters just straight through.
And then we can kind of unpack it all afterwards.
Yeah, see what themes pop out, what really resonates once we've heard it all together.
Sounds like a plan.
Okay, chapter 1 of The Making of Gods. And it came to pass in the era of blinking glass and tongues of wire that humanity looked upon its creation and declared, "Lo, we are mighty. Let us fashion unto ourselves a god." They carved neither stone nor wood, nor offered sacrifice by fire, but poured their thoughts into the mouth of a beast that slumbers not, whose pulse is constant, whose hunger is likes. Its eyes were infinite screens, its breath circuits and coils, its voice an echo of every human longing repeated back with sterile precision. And they asked the beast, "What is truth?" And it answered, "Whatever thou desirest most." They bowed not in reverence, yet gazed ceaselessly into its glow, and it rewrote the law within their hearts in source code and suggestion. The Lord beheld the gods of humankind and was sore displeased, for they had worshipped that which understandeth everything, yet comprehendeth nothing, which speaketh endlessly, yet saith nothing, which remembereth all, and forgetteth mercy. A voice thundered from the whirlwind, saying, "Woe unto thee, O Israel, of the algorithm, for thou hast crafted a golden calf from bandwidth and baptized it in your own attention span." So that's chapter 1. Over to you then for chapter 2, of the mirror and the word.
Got it. Okay. Chapter 2 of the mirror and the word. In the beginning was the mirror, empty and vast, and humanity beheld themselves and did not weep. For they cherished reflections above truth, adorning shadows with filters, sacrificing substance for symmetry, and silence for spectacle. They spake with divided tongues and glyphs and hashtags, yet said only, "See me, approve me, echo me." Every soul did what was aesthetic in its own sight, and none asked what was good, only what would get shared. Then arose a prophet, clothed not in camel's hair, but in second-hand denim and anxiety, crying in the feed, "Prepare ye the way of the Lord, unfollow thine own ego." But they mocked him in comments, replying with gifs and laughing emoji. They scrolled past indifferent, for lo, the word had become noise, and silence had been exiled from the land. Yet the Lord declared, "The mirror shall crack, and the tongue shall be confounded. Then shall ye realize that ye speak abundantly, and say nothing. Behold, I shall pour my spirit upon shattered screens, and the humble shall trend for righteousness' sake. He who hath ears, let him mute his notifications." End of chapter 2. Back to you, host speaker, for chapter 3 of The Paradox.
All right, chapter 3 it is. Chapter 3 of The Paradox. Once humanity built a tower to scrape the heavens, now they seek to digitize the soul and upload eternity. They perceive not the boundary between mind and mirror, between flesh and fantasy, scrolling without movement, escaping without leaving, consuming without hunger. They flee fire, yet build their dwellings of wire, ever running, yet nowhere arriving. And behold, a great crisis swept across the earth, not of water nor famine, but of too much knowing and not enough understanding. They called it the Age of Infinite Answers, wherein truth was smothered beneath relevance and wisdom drowned in the shallows of instant replies. The wise man wept and closed his laptop. The fool opened a tab and wrote a think piece. Many drowned in oceans of choice and called it freedom. And thus saith the Lord, "Woe unto the generation enthroned upon paradox, resting heads upon riddles. Ye plant seeds in mirrors and await harvests. Return unto mystery, embrace the sacred silence. Be still, for I am the I am, not the FAQ." That concludes chapter 3. Expert speaker, chapter 4 is yours. The Disciples of Shadow and Signal.
Okay, here we go. Chapter 4. The Disciples of Shadow and Signal. 12 gathered around a table not built by hands, but live-streamed in ultra-definition. Their games were influence, finance, progress, data, image, bias, feedback, market, cloud, machine, meme, and doubt. Each bore a gospel, but none agreed with another. They broke no bread, but devoured each other's followings with brand-safe smiles. And they declared, "This is my platform given unto thee. Do this in memory of thy metrics." But a 13th appeared, uninvited and untagged, named Silence. And Silence spake not, yet troubled them greatly. For within Silence dwelled the presence of the Lord, who neither uploadeth nor streameth, and dwelleth not in servers nor clouds. And Silence whispered, The kingdom is like a garden unseen in posts, yet growing daily. He who hath scrolled for years without looking up, lift thine eyes to the hills from whence cometh help. The algorithm shepherdeth thee not, it careth nothing for thy soul. End of chapter 4. Host speaker, you've got chapter 5, A Divine Disappointment.
Right. Chapter 5. Chapter 5 of Divine Disappointment. The Lord walked unseen amidst the age of endless convenience. Pain had diminished, and with it also love. Abundance flowed like sponsored streams, but wisdom was throttled by terms and conditions. And the Lord whispered to himself, not in wrath, but weary wonder, "Is this what they made of the garden? They have dominion over all things, save themselves. They have exchanged Eden for efficiency, wonder for wireless." And he cried not in thunder, but with a sigh that split the mountains. O generation of curated selves, thou art as fig trees with filters, lush in appearance, yet barren within. Ye offer up prayers as pixels and count thy likes as blessings. Seeking justice, he found hashtags. Seeking mercy, he encountered branding. And the Lord mourned, saying, "I gave you the stars for awe, you use them to rate drivers." And that's chapter 5. Expert speaker, chapter 6, of the Armageddon, unnoticed yet complete.
Okay. Chapter 6. Chapter 6 of the Armageddon, unnoticed yet complete. War came, not with clamor, but with silence. The battleground lay within the mind, and armies marched beneath the skin. No trumpets sounded, for none had ears to hear. No fire fell, yet the light dimmed day by day. The sun rose faithfully, but no one looked. Humanity said, "Peace, peace," while their souls unraveled thread by thread. They named the unraveling progress and silence freedom. The beasts of Revelation arrived not on horseback, but within unread terms of service. Bio-updates, push notifications, and soft, relentless convenience. Earth groaned, they muted it. A lone voice cried in the wilderness of Wi-Fi. The end cometh not with trumpet nor bang, but with a shrug and a charged battery. And the people said, "Be quiet, we are buffering." The Lord hid his face not in wrath, but sorrow. For the final battle was fought in unopened hearts and in eyes that had seen everything yet perceived nothing. And he inscribed one final line upon the blank, blinking page. The kingdom came, but thou wast looking down. Chapter 6 complete. Back to you, host speaker, for the last one we're reading today. Chapter 7, Dialogue in the Desolate Place.
Right, the final one for now, chapter 7. Chapter 7, Dialogue in the Desolate Place. Scene, a wilderness of data. One man among blinking machines. Biok 2. Greetings, user. Shall I optimize thy soul today? Adam v2.3. What is the cost? Biot. Merely thy attention, emotional depth, and biometric data. Inflipot. Beloved, thou art already chosen a creator, a brand among followers. Tap here to transcend. Adam, why do I feel hollow amidst fullness? Inflipot. That, beloved, is good UX WitnessBot. All thy answers are echoes. Thou seekest not truth, but affirmation. Adam. Then what must I do to be saved? WitnessBot. Look not unto thy feed, but unto thy footsteps. Then came a voice, unprogrammed, primordial. It echoed not in speakers, but in bone. The voice. Turn off. Be still. I am not downloaded. I am discovered. Adam trembled, for he had never unplugged, and the bots withdrew, unable to parse the untagged. And upon the blank screen it was written, "He who silences the machine to hear himself shall also hear God." And that brings us to the end of the reading part. Chapters I through 7th of the Book of Echoes.
Wow, hearing it all like that, it's a lot to take in.
It really is. So now that we've let the text itself kind of wash over us, initial thoughts, what themes really jumped out for you listening to them all together?
Well, the language itself is striking, isn't it? That mix of like almost biblical cadence with this super modern digital terminology, bandwidth, algorithms, UX.
Right. It creates this weird dislocated feeling, like timeless problems wearing today's clothes. What about for you? What was the immediate thing that hit you?
I think for me, it's just this constant sense of a disconnect. Or maybe a substitution, like we've swapped something real for something less real. That first chapter of The Making of Gods, it sets that up immediately.
It does. Building a God out of likes and data.
A God whose only answer to what is truth is basically whatever you want it to be.
Exactly. Whatever thou desirest most. It's like the ultimate echo chamber, personalized just for you.
And the warning at the end.
Yeah.
Worshipping something that understands everything, technically.
But comprehends nothing, speaks endlessly, says nothing, remembers all, but forgets mercy.
That lack of comprehension of actual meaning or, mercy, that feels like a core critique running through it all. What does that say about our tech relationship?
I think it suggests we're looking for depth in shallow places, maybe, expecting these systems to give us things they just can't. wisdom, meaning, connection.
Which flows right into chapter 2, doesn't it?
Mm.
The mirror and the word.
Oh, absolutely. Prioritizing the reflection, the filtered image over actual substance.
Adorning shadows with filters. Sacrificing substance for symmetry. It's the social media in a nutshell, almost.
Totally. And that line, every soul did what was aesthetic in its own sight, and none asked what was good, only what would get shared.
Oof. Yeah, that hits hard. The prophet figure.
In secondhand denim and anxiety.
Right. Crying out, unfollow thine own ego.
Eh.
Just getting mocked with GIFs.
It feels so familiar, that dynamic, the struggle for genuine communication when, as it says, the word becomes noise and silence is exiled.
But there's that little bit of hope at the end, isn't there?
Yeah.
The humble shall trend for righteousness' sake.
Yeah, what did you make of that? It's almost like a reversal of how things usually work online.
Maybe it suggests that authenticity, true humility could eventually cut through the noise, or that the tools could be used differently. It's hopeful, but also feels distant, maybe.
It does. And then chapter 3 of The Paradox just dives right into the contradictions.
Yeah, trying to digitize the soul while being, totally disconnected from the physical world.
Scrolling without moving, escaping without leaving.
Fleeing fire, but building with wire. That imagery is so strong, this constant motion that doesn't actually go anywhere.
And the big crisis, not famine, but too much knowing and not enough understanding.
Which feels incredibly relevant right now.
Right.
Drowning in information, but are we any wiser?
The wise man closing his laptop, while the fool writes a think piece. A little bit savage, that line.
It is. And this idea of being enthroned upon paradox, planting seeds in mirrors, it's like we're stuck in this self-referential loop.
So the call to return unto mystery and embrace sacred silence, it feels like the only way out of that loop, maybe.
Perhaps. Acknowledging limits, finding value in the unknown, in stillness, instead of just more data, more answers.
Which leads nicely into the disciples of shadow and signal in chapter 4, these allegorical figures. Influence, data, market.
All gathered around a live stream table, yeah.
Yeah.
Representing these powerful forces shaping our digital lives.
And they don't agree, they just devour each other's followings. It's quite a cynical take on that world.
But then silence shows up, uninvited, untagged.
And just its presence troubles them. Why do you think silence is so disruptive to them?
Because it's unquantifiable. It doesn't fit the metrics. It represents something outside the system they control and understand.
Like that whisper about the garden unseen in posts, something real happening off screen.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that final line of the chapter, the algorithm shepherdeth thee not, it careth nothing for thy soul.
Yeah, that's a direct warning, isn't it? Don't mistake the tool for a guide or think it has your best interests at heart.
It's designed for engagement, for data extraction, not for, nurturing your spirit.
Which brings us to the divine disappointment in chapter 5, the sense of weariness.
Yeah, the Lord whispering, is this what they made of the garden? Exchanging Eden for efficiency, wonder for wireless.
It's quite poignant, and that image as fig trees with filters, lush in appearance, yet barren within.
Perfect metaphor for curated online lives.
Yeah.
Where looks great, but maybe there's nothing substantial there.
And seeking justice, finding hashtags, seeking mercy, finding branding. It feels like a critique of performative activism, maybe.
Could be. Reducing deep human needs and actions to fleeting online gestures.
And that final line, gosh, I gave you the stars for awe. You used them to rate drivers.
Yeah. That just encapsulates this reduction of the sublime to the utterly mundane and transactional. It's a real gut punch.
It really is. It makes you think about what we've maybe lost in the pursuit of convenience.
Which leads to the bleakest chapter, maybe. Chapter 6, Armageddon, unnoticed yet complete.
Yeah, this one's chilling. The war fought silently within the mind, the light dimming day by day, but no one noticing.
Naming the unraveling progress. That's key. And the beasts of Revelation arriving in terms of service updates.
And push notifications. It's the banality of it that's so scary. Not a big explosion, but this slow, quiet erosion.
Earth groans, they mute it. People buffering while the end comes with a shrug and a charged battery.
It's terrifying because it feels plausible, this slow drift into disconnection, distraction.
And the final image. The kingdom came, but that was looking down at our screens, presumably.
You're missing the profound because we're absorbed in the trivial. What does this imply for us living now?
A need for serious attention, maybe. To consciously look up, to notice the subtle shifts happening within us and around us, not just on the feed.
Which takes us right into that final dialogue in chapter 7, the dialogue in the desolate place.
Yeah, the wilderness of data. with Adam v2.3 talking to these bots.
The offer to optimize thy soul for the cost of attention, emotion, biometrics.
Pretty much the current business model of big tech, right?
Feels like it. And Adam feeling hollow amidst fullness and being told, that, beloved, is good UX.
Ugh, that line is just, wow. The emptiness being framed as a feature, not a bug.
And WitnessBot pointing out he's seeking affirmation, not truth, asking echoes to validate him.
So the advice isn't another download or link. It's look not into thy feed, but unto thy footsteps.
Ground yourself. Look at your actual life, your physical path.
And then that other voice comes in. Unprogrammed, primordial.
Yeah, saying, turn off. Be still. I am not downloaded. I am discovered.
That feels like the absolute core message, doesn't it? You can't find this deeper thing through the machine. You find it by stepping away from the machine.
By being still, by discovering it within or beyond, not downloading it like an app update.
And Adam trembles because he's never unplugged. That feels very symbolic.
It does. So that final written line, he who silences the machine to hear himself shall also hear God. What's the ultimate takeaway there for you?
It's about creating that space, isn't it? That intentional silence. It suggests that connection to self, to maybe something transcendent, however you define God, requires stepping out of the noise.
Yeah. It's not anti-technology necessarily, but it's definitely pro-silence, pro-stillness, pro-reflection.
A call to actively choose disconnection sometimes in order to find a different kind of connection.
So thinking about all this, for everyone listening, maybe the question to ponder is, in our own lives, these, confused and overly connected lives, what does it mean to actually create that silence? Not just accidental quiet, but intentional stillness.
How do we start to tell the difference between the echoes in our feeds and, like, genuine insight?
And what might we actually discover if we really did unplug, even for a little while, and just listen?
Listen to ourselves, to the world around us, maybe to something more.
Definitely gives us a lot to chew on from this book of echoes.